Our story for today is going to be about on the road to Damascus, okay? And we are going to talk and learn about choral reading. Everyone say choral reading.
Choral reading.
What do you need? 86. So listen to the meaning of what that is. The Greeks developed the art of drama. This is not in your books. This is something you're going to be listening to. Their plays or choral readings were merely long speeches read aloud or recited before an audience. The lead actors stood before the audience and recited their lines, occasionally stepping sideways or forward. A chorus that recited responses stood in the back, stepping back and forth or from side to side in a certain pattern. Various pitched voices were used to give the choral readings sound appealing. Light voices had a naturally high sound or pitch, and dark voices had a naturally low sound or pitch. The medium voices included all the voices between the high and low voices. The choral reading on the road to Damascus is taken from the King James Version of the Bible. The word shoe on page 89 is an old spelling of the word show. So, what choral readings were like kind of similar to little plays, if you will, okay? So to have a choral reading, it was where a group of people would be. So what that means is that there would be, in this one play or drama, there would be different groups of people or different choruses, okay? The chorus, they weren't singing the words, but they were saying them as a group together, okay? So, when we read our story for today, there are 3 choruses, so I'm going to split you guys into 3 groups, and when it gets to your choruses time, then you guys are going to say it together, okay? And I will say it with you as well, okay? So, here's some background information about On the Road to Damascus. Like it said, this is taken from the story in the Bible, but here's some information for you guys to know before we read it. So, think of what it would be like to be blind, okay? You guys can't see anything. You have to go on feel, sound, and touch, right? So you don't really know where that's at. So imagine that you can see and all of a sudden you're blind. Not you were born like that, but all of a sudden you were blind. Well, that's what happened on the road to Damascus, okay? There was a man that named Saul that he thought he was doing the right thing. He was going and putting people in jail and things like that of people that followed God because he thought and he was taught a different way. Okay, so he thought he was doing the right thing, but he wasn't really doing the right thing. He was putting God's people in jail, but he thought that they were following the wrong belief. Okay, so he's on this road to Damascus to go and arrest more people. And all of a sudden, this bright light shines, and he's blind. And he says, "Who is that? Who is this, Lord?" And he said that I am God whom you persecute. And persecute means go against. Okay? So that's when and then God sends someone else to go and pray with him, and he becomes healed, and he sees who God really is, and he becomes one of the big influential people in God's journey and in getting people to understand who God was. Does that make sense? So, let's look at this page, okay? So we're at page 86, and here it just tells who these people are. So hold on one second. So we all got our parts, and you at home just follow along with us and just listen and read. So on page 87, I'm going to read the part in purple, okay? And there's also parts where it says all, right? So when it says all, we all do it, obviously. Reader 1 is Saul. Reader 2 is Ananias. Okay? So I'm going to read the part in purple, and then we're all going to come in on the all part, okay? In the years after Christ's ascension, the early church suffered persecution from unbelievers. Many of Christ's followers were thrown into prison, and some of them died for their faith. One man became especially well known as a hater and persecutor of the church, Saul of Tarsus. But when Saul met the Lord on the road to Damascus, he became a new creature. All right, let's all read. And at that time there was a great persecution against the church, which was at Jerusalem.
As for Saul,
He made havoc on the church. That's chorus 2. Chorus 1 and 2. Entering into every house and hailing men and women, committed them to prison.
and Saul,
Yet breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Lord, went unto the high priest and desired of him letters to Damascus, to the synagogues, that if he found any of this way, whether they were men or women, he might bring them bound unto Jerusalem.
and as he journeyed, he became near Damascus.
And suddenly there shined around him a light from heaven, and heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou? 1 and 2. And he said,
Who art thou, Lord?
And the Lord said, I am Jesus, whom thou persecutest. It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. All right, so listen up. So what just happened was he went and he was like, I need to have these papers so that I have authority to put people in jail from further than this, and I can, when I see them on my way to Jerusalem and I go through Damascus, if I see anyone going against this, I can take them to jail and bound them and take them to Jerusalem. Okay, so then he's walking, and this is when the light shines, and he says, Who art thou, Lord? And he said, I am Jesus, whom thou persecutest. It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. To kick against the pricks is what, when they would have cattle and animals moving things and pulling wagons, there would be something called a prick that would be behind them, so that if they were trying to go against that, or they were trying to kick against it or kick something, that prick would just poke them enough to make them stop. Does that make sense? Okay, Saul understood immediately what the Lord meant. He had seen the pricks used to prod cattle pulling carts. If the cattle were stubborn and kicked backward, they would hurt their legs and the pricks until they started forward again. Chorus 1 and 2. And his trembling and astonished said,
Lord, what wilt thou have me to do?
And the Lord said unto him, Arise and go into the city, and it shall be told thee what thou must do. And the men which journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no man. So Saul was the one that went blind. He had other men with him, but he was the one that went blind, and he didn't see God. but he could hear him, and the other men with him could hear God too, but they couldn't see him. So they didn't know what was going on either, right?
And Saul arose from the earth, and when his eyes were open, he saw no man.
So this is when he sees nothing. He's blind now. But they led him by the hand and brought him into Damascus.
And he was 3 days without sight, and neither did eat nor drink.
And there was a certain disciple at Damascus named Ananias, and to him said the Lord in a vision, Ananias. And he said,
Behold, I am here, Lord.
And the Lord said unto him, Arise and go into the street which is called Straight, and inquire in the house of Judas for one called Saul of Tarsus. For behold, he prayeth, and hath seen a vision of a man named Ananias coming in and putting his hand on him, that he might receive his sight. Then Ananias answered, Lord, I have heard by many of this man, how much evil he hath done to thy saints at Jerusalem. And here he hath authority from the chief priests to bind all that call on thy name. But the Lord said unto him, Go thy way, for he is a chosen vessel unto me, to bear my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel. For I will shew him how great things he must suffer for my name's sake. And Ananias went his way and entered into the house, and putting his hand on him said, Brother Saul, the Lord, even Jesus, that appeared unto thee in the way of thou camest, hath sent me. Good.
And immediately there fell from his eyes as it had been scales, and he received sight forthwith, and arose and was baptized. And when he had received meat, he was strengthened.
Then was Saul certain days with the disciples which were at Damascus.
And straightway he preached Christ in the
synagogues,
that
he is the Son of God. Good. So, that is what chorus reading is, okay? I want you guys to now get out your workbooks and go to page 33. Okay, so with this, you don't even need your Bibles because, yes, it's looking at verses, but it is not, it already has them for you, okay? So, if you are chorus 1, I want you to be chorus A. If you are 2, you are B. 3 is C. And Bella and Charisma, you guys are just going to join in at the all part, okay? So we're going to read these together. So chorus A. Oh, sing unto the Lord a new song. Sing unto the Lord all the earth. Declare his glory among the heathen, all his wonders among all people. Group 2. For the Lord is great and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. O sing unto the Lord a new song, for he hath done marvelous things. His right hand and his holy arm hath gotten him the victory. Sing unto the Lord with the harp, and the voice of a psalm, with trumpets and sound of cornets. Make a joyful noise before the Lord, the King. Yes. Okay. So, based on what we just read, and you can look back at what we just read, you are going to answer these 5 questions. Okay? Then I want you to flip it over. you are going to be reading these short little stories and putting whether they are nonfiction or fiction. Remember, it even reminds us at the top in that red box, a fictional story is one that has made up characters and events. A nonfiction gives facts and details about real people, places, and things. Okay? So this has to do with something new that we did, and then it adds a review concept. Okay?